The Royal Melbourne Show opens tomorrow.
Today's opening of the 1986 Royal Melbourne Show.
And of course, right now, today's the opening day of the Royal Melbourne Show.
Well, each year at the show, the Australian Meat and Livestock Corporation conducts meat cutting and cooking demonstrations. The champion dairy bull was taken out by SJ and ME Slater's 4-year-old Friesian Sunny South Paration. And this, by the way, is the 4th time the
Dairy cattle are bred to produce milk, and from milk we have butter and cheese, whereas from the beef cattle, they're bred to produce beef. And there is a marked difference between the appearance of both breeds of cattle.
Well, we've been particularly pleased with our entries this year, especially in the cattle. They're up by 6% overall, and this is the first year that we've split the types of cattle, the dairy and the beef.
Early days, all cattle were here at the same time. I mean, it was literally thousands of cattle here.
I don't know what year it was that the beef stopped going with the dairy, but I'm going to say it was late 80s, I suppose. And they chose to put the dairy cattle there the first week and the beef cattle there the second week.
One of the main reasons we did it was to help the exhibitors, because the show goes for 10 days. We felt that we could help the exhibitors by splitting the show.
That was a real positive move, there was no doubt about that, yeah.
To a certain extent, it's made it a lot easier for exhibitors.
You lived on the show for a fortnight. You know, we'd get there on the Saturday and judging wouldn't be until the Thursday.
It was an adventure. A lot of work still in it, because although judging would finish, you still had to look after cattle. They had to go home in good condition.
We'd get down there early to get the cows ready, and we'd judge on Thursday, and then all breeds would be Friday, and then you'd be there for the next week as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of friends, a lot of people you only saw once a year. So you would go around and catch up and socialise.
You know, we used to go down and you'd take everything, including the kitchen sink. Truly, it was amazing how you'd fit it all in.
If you had a herd of 25 in here, you had a lot of feed to be in here, people to work. It was fairly full on. It was like a military operation, getting everything here, getting everything home.
A show spokesman said the highlights today included the major judging in the horse and cattle sections, which both attracted record entries.
A real good one can take a fair bit of work if you want to make it look the best on a day.
You'd entered in July, and so you'd pick your team certainly well before July, and you had to enter them and put their names in of exactly which ones you were taking in July.
What used to happen as sort of a privately behind the scenes became a public event, and people from the city, I suppose, couldn't believe what they saw people doing to bulls and that sort of thing.
You know, in those days the jerseys all had horns, so you'd sandpaper the horns and make them all shine up and put grease on them to polish them up. And
it started a lot earlier. You generally have to wash and in latter years dry cattle. In the early days they dried off by themselves. Now you've got blow dryers.
And the other thing that was done then that's not done now, and this would happen when we get to the show, we'd actually plait the tails and you'd stitch a hessian bag around them so they wouldn't get dirty between. We usually do them on a Tuesday, and then on Thursday you'd undo them all and the tail would all frizz out and look nice. Well, that all went out. We don't do that now either.
In the past it would have been a 3-month process. You probably can shorten that down to a month.
So yeah, there was you'd enter them in July, you'd rug them, you'd have to break them into lead. A lot of them would be cattle that you took last year as well anyway.
Any details of judging at all?
Yes, I've just been over at the Friesians. Bill, the junior champion heifer, was won by Frank Sorrigan from Arcadia.
She's got to be in form on the day. It's not that you can bring a cow that's not in form. She's got to look good, shape, conformation, well built.
They were all judged using the arena, and of course in those days the arena would be approximately 3 hectares in size.
And getting the animals out to the main arena was always an education for new competitors and new animals.
Getting the cattle out there and we'd never be able to hear what class was on, so you'd be walking, and it was a long way to go from the cattle shed out to the main arena, and it was incredible. The judging ring was just people everywhere watching.
You turn up here with a cow that you think you're going to win, or you hope that you might win, there's always someone else here to beat you.
It was great if you could win, but the reason you went is because people from all over Australia would come and look at that show.
It was also a marketing tool for a lot of people. If you did well here, you could sell cattle. Used to be bull sales here.
So many farmers came to Melbourne at Melbourne Show to purchase replacement animals for their farms.
If they were lucky enough to do well in their classes, they would sell well, and pay for all the expenses of trying to get here.
And you get the exposure. If you do well at the Royal Show, I mean, it's going to be in the Weekly Times the week after, it's going to be in the Stock and Land. You can't buy that sort of exposure.
People have a great desire to go and compare each other's animals. And the Melbourne Show, or the shows, whether it be country or Melbourne, provides that opportunity. We think we've got a good animal at home, but it's not until you go and put it beside someone else's that it can be said it's as good as what you thought. And that's the purpose of the shows.
For whatever reason, the name Royal Melbourne Show is something that's pretty important, and I think if you can say that you had an animal do well there, you've really done well up against top-notch opposition.